Hi guys! A big part of your literary analysis essay is going to depend on your ability to create flow quotes. Now, flow quotes are a little bit different than what you're used to when you're writing a typical CEW type of an essay or CEW type of a constructed response. In the flow quotes, you're actually only taking fragments and phrases of the evidence and embedding them into your own words and your own language. It's important to remember that this is a level up from what you're used to and what you've learned in 6th and 7th grade. And I want to take a second just to talk to you about that so that you understand the difference and how we're upgrading our own writing in 8th grade and hopefully for high school and beyond. Okay, take a look at what we have on the whiteboard right now. And what you're going to notice is a comparison, okay, with flow quotes. Here, right? Oh, there it is, there. Okay, there you see what you've learned in 6th and 7th grade, the claim, evidence, warrant pattern, okay? Now, what works about that pattern is that it really teaches you how to structure writing in a way that can be fluent and understood, and there's a lot of benefits to doing this kind of structure when you're a younger writer. The problem with it, though, if you notice, comes in your voice. Notice that the claim is in your voice, but typically the evidence is not you. But then the warrant comes back and it is you, okay? And that's a hard thing for readers to kind of really wrap their heads around because it sounds like you and then it's not you and then it is you. And what that creates for your readers is something we consider and call drop quotes. Drop quotes are bad because they break up the fluency of the writing. They sound choppy, the voice sounds choppy, and it's okay for that 6th and 7th grade level of writing, but for our 8th grade level of writing, what we want to do is we want to understand that that evidence piece right there can come out and not become its own separate thing. It can actually be blended. So what you're changing your thinking around is now this idea of the claim and the warrant. The warrant will have the evidence embedded in with it. That way, the claim is your voice, and then so is the warrant. They're both your voice, which means that you're going to end up having your embedded and blended quotes. You're going to have a solid, consistent voice, and your writing is going to have a level of fluidity that your readers will be able to pick up on and see the difference. So let's take a look at some flow quotes in action. I'm going to put a couple of examples from Harrison Bergeron on the screen. And what I want you to do is notice how the sentences are different, how the evidence is different, and most importantly, when you read it out loud, how the voice is consistent and better when you're using the flow quotes than it is compared to when you're actually just using the old-fashioned kind of, CEW format, okay? So keep that in mind as we go through some of these examples. Take a look.
All right, I have loaded up the handout for flow quotes. This is located in Google Classroom for you right now, and it is an activity that you can use to understand flow quotes at a deeper level. I recommend that you just follow all of the steps that I've outlined here for you, but for the purpose of our video, I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm talking about with these flow quotes. So the first example that I'm going to read to you is this text right here. Okay, and this is a full quote. This is what you're familiar with. This is that CEW format, okay, where we have our claim, our evidence, and then a warrant. And I want you to kind of hear how this sounds. Harrison had escaped jail and went to the TV studio. According to the text, I am the emperor, cried Harrison. Do you hear? I'm the emperor. Everybody must do what I say at once. He stamped his foot and the studio shook. This shows that Harrison was out of control. Now, what you should notice is that in this particular quote, I have used the following evidence. I am the emperor here. Let me go ahead and highlight that for you. I think I can. No, I don't know what I'm doing. let's try, I guess maybe I'll just circle it here and I'll use a different color. Okay, I use the evidence here. I am the emperor. There's some evidence. Cried Harrison, do you hear? I am the emperor. Do you see how big that piece of evidence is? Look at that. It ends right here. Okay. And what I've taken is essentially one, two, three-ish, four-ish, five-ish sentences of the original text. And so the only thing in here that is actually original to me that I actually said was I said the transition according to the text, and Harrison had escaped jail and went to the TV studio. And then the last part of this that I added was this shows that Harrison was out of control. Not a lot of my own voice here, okay? And that's one of the things that I want you to kind of see within the full quotes. There's not a complete control of voice happening over the handout, okay? So now let's take a look at an example of a flow quote using the same evidence. This example here shows us a different version of the text. So let me go ahead and read this to you out loud. And here's what you should be listening for. Listen for fluency. Okay. Listen for the quotes to still sound like my voice, even though I am actually using quotes. Okay. So here goes. If anyone's going to escape from jail, why would they choose to go to a TV studio of all places? Harrison must have been out of his mind. He kept screaming, I'm the emperor, which is a crazy thing to scream. Everyone that was there was terrified. They cowered on their knees before him, expecting to die. Even though readers cannot fully really know what kind of mental breakdown Vonnegut was trying to convey through the character of Harrison, it's clear that he had reached his breaking point and was desperate to be understood. Here's what you need to realize. I took only the fragments and phrases that I needed for the purpose of my own voice and argument in this paragraph. So really what you're looking at is I took I'm the emperor, and then I took coward on their knees before him expecting to die. Notice the use of ellipses, okay? I'm not using the entire quote. I'm using those fragments and phrases. So I'm only taking the pieces that I actually need. And if you notice that this quote, the flow quote, actually sounds like it's me the entire time it's being read out loud, that is exactly what you want to be able to do in your own writing.
That wasn't so bad, was it? Now you've had a chance to kind of see some examples of sentences that are using the flow quotes versus the sentences that are not using the flow quotes. And hopefully you can feel and hear the difference in the writing. It's your turn to make sure that you put those practice sentences to work now. You want to definitely make sure that you comb through your essay and try to use as many flow quotes as possible. At the end of this literary essay, you are going to be responsible for showing me 3 examples of your very best usage of the flow quotes in your essay. Remember to use your brackets. Use your ellipses, blend your thinking, come back and incorporate context in and around those flow quotes so that what you're incorporating actually sounds like you the whole time. That's the biggest thing I want you to take out of this lesson, is that the voice of your writing needs to consistently belong to you. And I hope that flow quotes help you do that. Please make sure you ask any questions if you need to have anything that you need clarified. Use the practice that's inside of Google Classroom. The flow quotes handout and activity is there to help you. There's a little bit more in there that walks you through the process of combing through the text to find the sentences and they're not the sentences, but the fragments and the phrases that you need, and put them to work. I look forward to reading your essays, and I hope you have fun using flow quotes and making sentences and paragraphs that you're very proud of as a writer. You think you're done? You think you got it? Okay, the last test. Read your sentences out loud. The whole time you're reading, they should sound just like you. If you feel a jump or a choppiness going on where what you're saying out loud doesn't really match some of the stuff that you're meaning to say, then there's a little bit more revision and blending that needs to happen before you can consider it done. And if it helps, read it to someone else. See if they'll listen to your flow quotes and see if they make sense to them, or have someone else read them. Remember, the importance of reading out loud helps you to process your sentences in a different way. So it's something that your eyes don't necessarily always catch, but your ears will.